President Muhammadu Buhari today presided over the National Security Council meeting at the State House. The meeting follows the latest attack on the custodial center in Kuje and the president's advanced team to Katsina State. Now, the Kuje attack, which the Islamic State in West African province, ISWAP, claimed responsibility for, led to the release of all Boko Haram detainees. And speaking to journalists after meeting the president, the Minister of Police Affairs, Megari Dingyadi, said nobody anticipated it. And a few security officials there were overwhelmed by the superior weapons of the terrorists. The minister also affirmed that some of the terrorists have been killed while many of them ran away with bullet wounds. And according to him, the president has ordered an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident and ensure that inmates who are now at large are rearrested. In the meantime, civil rights advocacy group, Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria say the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, must be sacked with immediate effect over his consistent failure to stop attacks on prisons in the country. Uriwa's national coordinator, Emmanuel Onbiko, in a statement said it is distasteful and condemnable that over 15 jailbreaks have occurred under Aregbesola in the last 5 years, while over 3,000 inmates have escaped. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Correctional Service has released the names and pictures of 69 Boko Haram suspects that escaped from the Kuje facility. The service is asking anyone with useful information which may lead to their recapture to come forward. So let's get talking now on the security situation in the country as we assess the Buhari administration on security. My guest is a retired director of the Department of State Services, who is also a lawyer, Mr. Mike Ejiofor. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
It's over 72 hours since the attack on the Kuje Correctional Facility. Are you satisfied with the government's response so far?
Well, nowhere many Nigerians will say is satisfied with what is going on now, because first of all, we are yet to be briefed if any rearrest of the major Boko Haram escapees have been made. And until that is done, we are in serious danger because you recall that the State Security Service on 26th of April alerted Nigerians of the presence and influx of the terrorists around Abuja. They even went ahead to alert the country of the series of violent attacks, especially within the north central and north west. And they have been manifesting. If you look at the attack on the train attack, a series of attacks and abductions. So this calls for serious concern, and Nigerians are worried. I am worried too.
But my question now is, what does this say? What does this say to us as a country, and how do criminals perceive this, that this has happened in the Federal Capital Territory, and 72 hours after, there's no one who's been fired, and there are no clear indications as to who's been arrested?
Well, it calls for serious apprehension. And the only way we can go about it, especially residents of Abuja and environ, is to be on the alert, be security conscious, look at your environment, help the security agencies to look out for these people, wherever they are. Because it beats my imagination how this number of people being claimed attacked the facility and made away with all these people. It's puzzling. And I think at this point, I want to call on the federal government to institute a very high-powered investigation to know exactly what happened, because there seem to be a lot of lapses in the incident that happened at the facility in Kuje.
Do you stand with the statement of the Minister of Police, who said that it wasn't anticipated and that they were overpowered by the ISWAP terrorists?
Did he say that?
He said so today.
Oh, I'm surprised, because I don't know why he should say that. It was in the public domain that these things were going to happen, apart even from other private sources. So how would he say that they were overpowered? What measures were put in place? In the first place, like some other people have said, what are the infrastructural improvements in the Kuje facility? Look at for instance, the walls that were the explosive was used. It was bare block. And you don't expect a medium security facility like that to be built with ordinary block sand and all this. I expected that they should have reinforced or built that wall with concrete. It wouldn't have been easy to blow up that place. And besides, I had the Minister of Interior, or whatever, the other person who was talking about no cameras not being there. How does it make any sense? Does it sound like we're in a country? Ordinary houses, private houses have cameras, and you don't have cameras in such a sensitive place where you have high-risk profile suspects and convicts. I mean, we should get serious.
So does that justify the calls for the sack of the minister? You recall that when the minister assumed office, he embarked on a tour across the country to correctional facilities. And many have questioned what he saw and what he did with what he saw. Does that justify the calls for his sack?
Well, I'm not in a position to say whether it's justified or not. It's the president that is the appointer, and he has the power to fire. So if he feels they are doing well, he retains them. If he feels they are not doing well, he should fire them.
But does that not say that, does that raise questions about the fight against insecurity? And I ask this because you recall that as the days have gone by, this administration has said that it has made progress with the fight against insecurity. In fact, the administration says that compared to 2015 when it took over, it's made progress. Do you see progress?
Well, I wouldn't say there's progress or there's no progress, but just look at it. I just want to paint a scenario. You know, apart from the fact that these security challenges have not been contained, from 2019 or 2020, where you had this pandemic, you see there's general economic compounded by what is happening in Ukraine. So we're not selling our oil. Besides, the security agencies are continuing to say this. We don't continue to blame our security agencies. They are underfunded, they are undertrained, they don't have the capacity to even handle this situation. So a situation where you have the Kuje facility, we're talking of 15 jailbreaks within how many times? It's sad. So you can, when you see such things, all I expected that you look at, review the situation and possibly make improvements. We can't continue to have jailbreaks in this country. It doesn't make any sense.
You know, for many people with Boko Haram terrorists on the loose, it's a call for concern. How do we go about something like that as it stands now? You've just said that the security agencies are underfunded and undertrained, and then there's some sort of apprehension within the Federal Capital Territory now, considering that there are terrorists on the loose.
Well, as it is now, we must all be vigilant. Like it said that the Pride of Liberty is eternal vigilance. Nigerians must be vigilant. I give you an example. When we talk about electricity, government not providing electricity, people go to buy generator. So I expect the residents to form themselves in the groups, in vigilante groups. That is for the immediate. But for the long and the immediate term, we should be looking at, there's no way we can continue like this and achieve results. We must look at restructuring our security architecture in terms of formation, establishment of the state police. Look at, there's no state in this country that doesn't have a state police under the name of one vigilante, and they're doing well. But they are not equipped. Some states are even calling for arming of civilians. That is dangerous. It leads to anarchy. But I think that these regional and state security outfits must be equipped, be allowed to carry arms, and gather intelligence and work with the regular security outfits. That's the way we can go.
But does it now make sense, while you talk about these regional security outfits that are acting like state police, does it now make sense for us to have an actual state police legalized?
That's why I've been advocating that we should create a state police all over the country. For the states that cannot afford it, because that's the excuse some people are giving. For the states that cannot, you cannot force them. But there are states that can afford it. And most state governments have been assisting both the police, the army, and also if they channel these resources to their own and they know that they own it, because the governors at times to feel that called chief security officer by name or designation, but they don't have control over it. But if they have control, then I think it will be more effective. Another problem that people are criticizing about state police is that it will be abused. And I ask, if the state police is abused, their rights, if your rights are abused, then you go to court to enforce your rights. The Nigerian police, as it is now, are they not abusing the rights of citizens? They go to court and challenge them. So we shouldn't take, because it will be abused, and will continue to remain on the same spot without moving.
Does that now say that if we don't have state police in place, considering that the president has an opposing stance on it, and then you're saying as well that calling for individuals to arm themselves will just lead to anarchy, does it now say that if we don't put state police in place, that this country will not improve security-wise?
No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we should mobilize ourselves as citizens. Don't leave this into security agencies alone, that security agencies must do it. There's no way, even in civilized countries, citizens are involved, citizens are mobilized to assist the security agencies and government. As it is now, we are in a dire situation and we must take our security in our hands.
Mr. Mike Ejiofor, retired director with the Department of State Services, thank you very much for coming to speak with us.
Thanks for having me.